right now.
No worries.
So let me just share my screen quickly. Mm, I'm just gonna share. What's the share? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can now.
Okay. So we're data science team 5. So we decided to focus on some customer data and specifically on using sort of customer persona analysis through clustering of customer data. So our project question was, can we use existing customer data to identify distinct customer clusters? And we related this for business relevance. This is important because it helps supports targeted campaigns and personalized campaigns that actually speak to to customers kind of based on their interests. We wanted to understand what were the kind of the key driving features and purchasing behaviors and create these segments to create sort of present these actionable personas and then have recommendations based on the specific characteristics of those personas. And the stakeholders for this would be so marketing teams use personas very, very clearly to tailor their communication specifically. And then business strategists can use behaviors of these clusters to inform their decisions around sort of campaigns around specific different clusters. So to provide a little bit more context on what marketing personas are, so this is a methodology that's used in marketing very commonly, where they will sort of identify a group of people that share demographic and sort of behavioral similarities, and then assign sort of a fictional person to them. So this is an example essentially of a fictional person, Amy, and basically it identifies specifically how this person might, choose to engage with the business of how she buys stuff, and then what are the specific things that she might care about. And these help again to help these help to have businesses understand their customers and then to speak their language, as well as to make smarter decisions based on what customers actually care about and to boost loyalty and sales specifically. So our data set was the customer personality data set off of Kaggle. It's approximately it's 2,200-ish anonymized customer records. And it features 29, there's 29 features in it, which are a mix of demographic, behavioral, and engagement data. So some of the sort of key features that we identified, again, for demographics, we have things like age, income, educational, marital status, number of children. And then there's information specifically about purchases around how much they spent on these different categories, as well as engagement. There is information about whether or not they engaged with campaigns that were offering them things like discounts, for example, as well as what was their specific method of shopping, whether it was kind of online store catalog, and information as well about how long they've been sort of a customer for the business, as well as if there's been any complaints or anything like that. The data did include both numerical and categorical variables, and some of the numeric fields were both kind of just zeros and ones, and they were sort of boolean. So just a quick note on accessibility. We did make sure to make our stuff accessible. You'll actually see so that some of our visualizations, we prefer to put it on dark mode because personally I need it for accessibility purposes. But we also made it so that our code can be run on light mode very, very quickly by just removing the style that was used. We inserted alt text for all of our visualizations to support screen readers. So I was able to write those. And then we chose Verity as a color palette, which is a color palette that is known to be particularly colorblind friendly and has sort of to help create visuals that are understood regardless of differences in being able to see colors. So for methodology, essentially, we took a look at the data. We wanted to make sure that we were removing duplicates and handling missing values. We used a box plots to understand the distributions of the variables and to spot outliers as well. And then based off of that, we were able to sort of decide if we were going to impute them and how we were going to handle outliers. Examples that I show here are outliers that we're seeing in income as well as outliers in age. Some of those ages are ridiculous and they're obviously not real. So we wanted to make sure that we were increasing the quality of our data by making these specific choices. We also had a number of categories that were, sorry, Phil, you have a hand up.
Oh, sorry, just giving you the 30-second warning.
Okay. So we have a number of these features that we decided to combine to make it easier because there's a number of features that were basically the same thing, just over 6 columns. In terms of our approach, we decided to use clustering. So we used k-means after scaling and transforming the data. Based on our elbow plot, we decided that the optimal number of clusters was 3. And then we clustered once we clustered the data, we then grouped all of the data by their cluster and calculated the mean or modes of the values for clusterberg for each profile. And this is just one of our visualizations that demonstrates the distribution of the variables across the different clusters. And we created these bar plots to kind of highlight the key differences and to help us understand each persona. Based off that information, we found these 3 personas specifically. So we had the 3 clusters. So there was a cluster that was kind of a budget conscious family with sort of low income and spending. They were more likely to have children, and they in general just low volume and low campaign response. We had kind of the mid-income traditional shopper who had the most moderate income, typically older, typically married, and had a balanced channel use. And then we found this sort of affluent gourmet enthusiast who was more higher income, spent quite a lot more. Interestingly, was less likely to have children, and they have higher online activity and they prefer sort of luxury goods. And some business recommendations that came out of that were again sort of targeted campaigns specifically around which clusters respond to discounts. So an example of that would be like a luxury bundle for the high income gourmet specifically. Channel strategies, specifically aligning marketing channels with segment preferences. So having marketing around sort of budget friendly sort of options or bundles for budget friendly families in their preferred channel, which is in store. And then for product development, making sure that we adjust inventory to meet cluster specific demands, depending on where they prefer to shop. And that's the end of my presentation.